We're going to show you a picture of Mark Cuban, and in this picture, he actually just got asked for a second kiss by his cousin on Thanksgiving. Yeah, that explains that.
That's a fitting picture.
All right, it's another week. We're back with 2 nukes. I am Chris, and that's yeah. Again,
Go with that.
1,000 subs, you get to know his name. Until then, I don't want to hear it. By the way, why don't you sub? We're going to do this every single week. We have a lot of fun with it.
Click the like button and subscribe.
Yeah, but please just subscribe. Like, if nothing else, give us a sub. You're going to be here next week anyway. You might as well get notified.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to start off. Yeah, I know. And it's hard to segue into a story.
It is.
So, especially one like this. This one doesn't really fit. However, Mark Cuban blasts Joe Rogan and Elon Musk over vaccination and a big pharma debate that Joe Rogan had on his show. So we're going to show you a picture of Mark Cuban, and in this picture, he actually just got asked for a second kiss by his cousin on Thanksgiving. Yeah, that explains
That's
that
a
weird.
fitting picture.
That explains the weird look on his face. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot to talk about this story. Mark Cuban, in my opinion, accurately calls out Joe Rogan for pretending to be some doctor and having some kind of high level of knowledge, when the truth is these vaccines that he's saying didn't work did in fact work. They did lots of good for people, and we did see deaths drop among the vaccinated population. I don't know what else you would have wanted.
To be allowed to talk about the negatives?
Talking about the negatives is one thing.
Yeah, but
Okay.
you're not allowed to.
You definitely can talk about the negatives.
No.
What you can't do
You
is
get
just
crucified.
make it up.
Well, you can't make it up, but if you even bring it up, you usually get crucified.
But these things that they're talking about are made up. So
Oh, I haven't seen the full debate, so I don't know exactly what was said.
So it came from Joe Rogan's recent podcast with Robert Kennedy.
Right.
Now, you may know Robert Kennedy as that idiot who sometimes speaks, but we allow to vote on things in Washington. It's really stupid. But he's a prominent anti-vaxxer, Robert Kennedy. He's gone on to say things like, we're still waiting for these vaccines to trigger and kill myself and everyone else that took it, right? Because we're all going to die. And it was supposed to happen in 2021, and we didn't die. So I don't know. At what point is it supposed to happen now?
I don't know.
Right, because it's not going to happen. Because he's an idiot, and Joe Rogan shouldn't be talking to him like he's not an idiot. I don't care if you're an elected official. You're still allowed to be stupid. Trump was in the White House for 4 years. You could be an idiot and still be elected.
Yep.
Oh, by the way, Biden's pretty dumb, too. So before anybody thinks I'm just picking on Republicans, that's not my point here. We definitely have some dumb Democrats. In fact, it was a Democrat. It was a Democrat a few years ago, and I may need to look up the name. But this is so off topic, but I don't even care because it's so worth talking about. This Democrat was questioning military officials about stationing extra troops in Guam.
Mm-hmm.
And you may have heard this, or this congressman literally asked a military general, if we continue to put people on this base in Guam, isn't there a chance the island could tip over? And the general's looking at him like he can't believe that he said that, and no one else could believe it either. He's like, well, no, sir, it can't tip over. And he goes, well, I'm just thinking, if you keep adding people there, you add 10% more people, couldn't it just tip? As if the island's floating out there. What was his name? You haven't found it yet? Okay. All right, so we had to look up some details on this, the Guam tipping over thing.
Yep.
The Democrat that I was talking about, his name was Hank Johnson, and he said it in 2011, which is, okay, whatever, we get it. There's idiots in the House, there's idiots in the Senate. Every once in a while we have an idiot in the White House, like we have for almost 8 years now. But
we like to leave them there.
We do sometimes like to leave them there, and sometimes they like to throw fits and burn the Capitol down. So when they don't get their 8 years. But this guy, Hank Johnson, he's still in Congress.
Still in Congress.
He's still there because his constituents don't care enough that this guy doesn't understand how islands work. I mean, to me,
maybe he's an expert at something else.
He's not.
I don't know.
He's not. No, he's just some guy in Congress who doesn't know how islands work and keeps getting voted in by idiots who don't care that he doesn't know how islands work. I think it's ridiculous. So we strayed from Mark Cuban there, but suffice it to say that I am behind Mark Cuban on this. I think that making up lies, especially about something that killed so many people.
What was the lie?
Oh, Robert Kennedy is full of lies.
Well, I just hadn't seen what he said.
So he's giving equal breath to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Professor Peter Hotez. So instead,
The doctor I know is
He
creating
turned down.
vaccines, right?
He did, but he turned down the money to go on Joe Rogan's podcast to debate. And so then Joe Rogan and Elon Musk say, well, he doesn't want to debate because he knows he's lying.
Well, he thought about it for a little bit.
I know, but the problem is whenever you give people that will make anything up and present it as facts, when you give them the same breath that you give an actual scientist, you're treating them as if they're coming from equal positions, and they are definitely not. So this Robert F. Kennedy is no smarter than Hank Johnson, who doesn't understand that how islands work. Robert F. Kennedy may be dumber.
I mean, he wrote a book about vaccines, so I haven't read it.
Which one, Hotez?
No, RFK Jr.
Oh, RFK Jr. I bet it's really good.
I'm just saying, I'm sure he's done some study.
It's interesting that you haven't read it. That's interesting. Yeah.
What?
It's almost like it wouldn't be worth reading.
I read a lot of the studies on vaccines.
It's not worth reading.
I'm trying to see what actual statements.
I'm vaccinated. My friend here is an anti-vax moron, so
I've gotten the vaccine for everything except for COVID because I got COVID before the vaccine was available.
Because you're an anti-vax.
No, I got the disease before it was even out.
Ooh.
Wasn't too bad, so I wasn't afraid after.